way you want people to view you, how you feel, and you're gonna portray those things. So I don't think it would be, it shouldn't be different by the job.
Okay. What else? What do you think? Roscoe, what do you think?
Sir, I think an effective leader is one who's able to visualize and guide their organization to their goals, their set goals.
Yeah, no doubt about it. But I mean, is there a difference between my philosophy if I was an infantry officer or a finance officer?
No, sir. I mean, you have the set goals. I mean, each organization has their own goals, but ultimately, you'll have that core.
So let's dissect that real quick. You know finance, right?
Yes.
Okay. So is physical fitness and character and selfless service, duty, empathy, are those things all important? Are going to be important to you? Okay, who's going infantry? Are all those things going to be important to you?
Yes, sir.
So what is different then?
Is the approach that you take to achieve those goals, sir? Like if you hold a finance or an MI platoon sergeant right next to an infantry platoon sergeant, you just take a look at both E7s, you can kind of tell like they have the same end state in mind to build the best organization they possibly can.
True.
But the way they go out doing it.
Why? Because as a finance officer, I am really concerned that your attention to detail needs to be immaculate, specialist, because if it's not, then our soldiers' pay is going to be jacked up, right? Right?
That's right, sir.
So attention to detail, but hey, infantry dude, if you're not, your attention to detail on how you're going to assault that objective, you know what I mean? Yes.
So I think it's the prioritization of those values is what's going to be different. So with a finance officer, you're going to have, I guess, more interaction with people in their family lives and whatnot. So maybe empathy is higher on that priority list of values.
So wait a second. So do we prioritize?
Well,
Do we prioritize our values?
in some way,
Kind of
I mean,
country
I'd
family.
say yes, sir.
Okay.
Values that I
What about
care
those
about more than
characteristics of
others.
the CSIMs?
Okay. Can you elaborate a little bit more? Like, so
Go look at cats.
how can we put more, if values are values, how can we put more values, eggs in this value bag and then in this value bag? I don't know, I'm just asking. For you personally.
Well, sir, I did an exercise a couple weeks ago with some of my students, and we prioritized our values. So like family was first for me,
Okay.
and then came friends and just I don't know, just different things that I really cared about in life. So there's a priority to it,
Okay.
and so I think that shapes how you lead.
I don't know if those are values though. My point is, if my value family, okay, as one of my top priorities in my leadership philosophy, but your character, you've demonstrated a lack of integrity. But you know what I mean? I don't understand how that works. So are they leadership? Is that our leadership philosophy? Are those just different emotions or things that are important to us that necessarily don't make up what's important to us in our leadership philosophy? Yeah. Yes.
So I think we're kind of confusing priorities of work.
Okay.
Depending on the branch that you're in, there's different priorities of work versus your philosophy is those values. I mean, they're not going to transition from one branch to the other, but the priorities and the interests and the objectives of each unit and each branch is going to change. So your priorities of work change, not necessarily your philosophy.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm just wondering if our values hold different weight
Well,
based on our leadership philosophy.
sir, remember when we did that? What was it? That online assessment to best suit what branch we'd best be suited for.
Right.
There were certain characteristics and
Mhm.
values that meet the intent of an MI officer as compared to an infantry officer and whatnot. So
Right.
maybe that's more so what I'm alluding to, certain characteristics, which I think translated to personal values.
You know what's so funny about that is that when those first came out, they were 99% the same across every single branch. know that? Does anyone know that?
Which,
So the every one of the branching templates, you will best serve in this branch because of these characteristics. You know what I mean? We want physically fit. We want, attention to detail. We want charismatic, right?
right.
Guess what? 99% of every single one of the people that put that together had it's exactly the same.
Aviation.
The ADA dudes have to be charismatic, man, or else they weren't playing.
What are the chemical dudes?
Oh man, the chemical even more. Everybody wanted that same, the same. So it's just kind of interesting. Yes, sir.
But sir, so I have a question. So I know because Captain Morgan told us that he was an S1.
Yeah.
So as an officer, it shouldn't change, should it? Because we
That's what I'm trying to
are
understand.
completely.
It
we
doesn't
can serve in
matter.
any
Does it
position.
really matter? No. Do you think Cap Moore's priorities changed when he went from engineer sapper platoon leader to engineer sapper S1? I don't think so. I think what's important to Cap Morton stayed important to Cap Morton all the way until he is right now today,
I think
based on how he was grown.
the way I see it, you're just taking care of soldiers in a different way. You might not be directly leading them,
Sure.
but you're taking care of them indirectly.
Sure, and that's what I'm trying to explain, I think, is that no matter what we do, if, one of our leadership philosophies is, this is not about me. This is about my brother or my sister on my left and my right. No matter what circumstance I do or situation I'm in. Does that make sense? Hey, look, the last thing, we got a great class today. This is the class that the cadets last year thought was one of the more fun classes. I like to get you guys thinking, but this one is actually will allow you to be in the hot seat and react and be adaptive, so it's kind of a fun event. The last thing I want to tell you about the leadership philosophies is this. Some of you in a year, some of you a little over a year, are going to be charged, or going to be tasked, or have the emotion that you need to now execute what's in your leadership philosophy, right? So I want you to really go back and do some thinking about your leadership philosophy and really what is important to you. It should be something that as you sat down with your people, you explain to them, this is what's important to me, guy. You know what I mean? These are our priorities. This is what, the leadership, my leadership traits that are important to me, and this is what I take value in leadership. So think about that. How are you going to now implement what it is you wrote on that paper? And what will be interesting is has it changed between today and when you become in the spring? What if I told you that half of your class, 60%, maybe 70%, changed their leadership philosophy from the
easily.
fall to the spring?
Easily 70%, sir, especially after I read that book.
What do you think about that? 70% of the seniors last year changed their leadership philosophy from today to the spring.
Significantly too, not like incrementally, significantly.
That's pretty interesting, isn't it? So let's just keep growing, Hope. Let's just keep growing. Keep making our brother or sister better on our flank. We're gonna do this. Sanga, are you by yourself?
No, I'm with cadets.
Remember, how come you haven't gotten a uniform yet? You got that like 8 weeks ago.
Oh, no, I'm waiting for my name tag, it's coming on Thursday.
Okay. The class that we're doing today is gonna be, counseling. Okay? Here's what's gonna happen. You guys are gonna break up into groups. I think we have 8.
We have 7 groups, sir.
Yeah.
Five per group, 35 cadets.
Okay. You're gonna break up into 7 groups of 5. I could care less. You wanna go with your best friend, or your sister, or your brother, I could care less how you wanna break it up, but you guys are gonna get broken up into 7 groups of 5, okay? You're gonna go around and you are going to be a platoon leader today, every single one of you. We're gonna do some scenario training with you, where a cadre member is you're gonna get issued a scenario, an event that's going on currently. We'll give you about 2 or 3 minutes to kind of digest that event. You'll have a description and an idea of the individual that's coming in to see you. Either it's on an open door policy or it's on something that you've requested them to report to you, okay? But you'll have a cadre member come in and role play and act out that scenario, okay? And it's gonna be up to you on how you adapt and what is important to you. And it's gonna be a great thing to kind of test your leadership philosophy. Make sense? Okay? So we'll role play, we'll do that. immediately following this. Are there any other admin notes that we got that we want to put out prior to splitting off into the three sheets of land?
The homework assignment for, that's gonna be due next week, is gonna be for all of you to do your, or write down your initial counseling with your platoon sergeant on a developmental counseling thing. Okay? So everyone here has had an initial counseling from the cadre member this semester. Use that and the experience that you gained today in order to develop
And your
what you
leadership
want
philosophy.
to be in your leadership philosophy.
In your branch. I know you don't have your branches yet, but in the branch you want to be. Okay? Hey,
And a hard copy needs to be turned in at class next week.
man, I really want to talk about Gordon Ramsay. Did we learn something from that?
I learned what not to be like.
Toxic guy.
Pretty ineffective, isn't it?
Toxic funny guy.
Man. It reminded me of my dad. I mean, that's how my dad used to, you know, and I'm like, I'm not listening to you. I could care less what you're telling me right now. You know what I mean? But do you guys want to discuss Gordon Ramsay a little bit?
Sure.
I mean, is it pretty obvious? Is there anything we really need to discuss? I mean, did we all learn a valuable lesson watching that? Did anyone think that that was effective? So Gordon Ramsay is effective. Go ahead.
I think to an extent, when you're met with a lot of resistance,
Yeah.
and especially in a situation where somebody is lying about something that could be life and death situation, like
Okay.
bad potatoes.
That's important to know.
High cholesterol.
This is going to be very important here in about 30 minutes for all of you.
You need to meet that resistance with greater escalation of force,
Okay.
basically, is what I'm getting at. So sometimes it's necessary to escalate the force.
Okay. So he was
To do
right.
that.
He was right. What he did in that environment with
Not
with the
exactly in that in that environment, I probably would have taken him aside and done it privately with
Okay.
the owner.
Okay.
But as far as the level of intensity that he was addressing the
Passion?
situation, the passion,
Okay.
I think he was right.
You think it
Maybe
was
not-
sensationalized because it's on TV? I think. Yeah.
Well, he's a professional chef and he has to uphold a reputation. However, he can change, like Cadet Maddox was saying, he can change the ways that he applies what he's trying to conveys to what he's, to the people that are messing up. But, I mean, he is known to be the best chef out there. And he has to uphold that reputation. so-
Okay. There's a battalion in the 82nd Airborne that I know that's the best battalion in the 82nd Airborne. Do you think that gives that commander the right to cuss and scream at his?
I think it's a gray area between that.
Is it?
It's a real gray area because he gets his message across, but it's harsh, you know. It's just
It was harsh and it broke down the resistance
Yeah.
of the toxic leader, which would have been
if you would
Chef Phillip. And then once he broke down that resistance, once Chef Phillip took responsibility for his failure, then the owner came in and was able to counsel him a little bit more professionally and develop him. But if they're not willing to accept their responsibility, no matter how much you try to develop them, they're not gonna think they're wrong. They're not gonna think they need to change.
The
That's just
professional
my
doesn't
opinion.
need to bark and see which one's the bigger dog in that household. They're not, you don't need to bark the loudest to signify that you're the top leader.
It's never, ever professional to curse somebody out. I
Or
think
yell,
it's
or
so,
profanity.
so
I'm not talking,
unprofessional.
yeah, I'm not
And
talking
so
about the
I didn't see a
profanity
bunch of-
of the
in that
words.
clip though, I didn't see a bunch of yelling, just barking random stuff. Yeah, they were saying the F-bomb, but that's ignorant. But they were, that might just be their culture, they talk like that. But I didn't see him as veins popping out of his forehead yelling at the chef. I think he was just, like Ed Maddox said, just accentuating the point that you're lying to me and I know it, so just tell me that you're lying so we can move on.
But why, what kind of environment is he creating, right? So like he lied, obviously, because he was probably afraid. You don't go around dropping an F-bomb to get your point across. You can express yourself in different ways, and using profanity is, I take offense to that. So the moment someone cusses or, you know, talking at me versus talking to me, like, that is, I take great offense to profanity. So, I mean, as a human being, as a leader, and one of my views as a leadership is quiet professional. Leaders should be poised. I mean, you don't always have to.
Did you put that in your leadership philosophy?
Yes, sir. You don't always have to walk around on clouds, but I really do believe in praise in public, reprimand in private. No one wants to be embarrassed like that in front of people. I'm grown. You don't cuss at me, and I shouldn't cuss at you, right? If you were my boss, would you cuss at me like that? If I outranked you, would you curse at me? So don't curse or use profanity with someone who cannot affect you in any way. I think that's belittling. I think it's very disrespectful to use profanity in any professional situation. It's just my rant. Sorry.
Well, it's, I mean, one thing like
Worked in a taco
no, it's not to rebut what you just said, but has anyone here worked in a kitchen? Because I have. When I was a freshman in college. Yeah, and like they do swear like that. It's normal. It's like part of the course. So I think some situations you can swear.
That's kitchen culture, right? So that's the culture, right? So am I supposed to conform to the culture because you guys curse and you guys use profanity? Am I supposed to be like, oh, okay, you can curse at me and talk to me like I'm a child or like I'm some inanimate object because you feel that's the only way you can express yourself?
But at the same time, you can't expect the culture to conform to you just because you.
I can't expect for people to talk to me in a certain way. You know, like I don't condone people using profanity to get your point across. There's other ways to express yourself. There's other ways to communicate.
No, I'm just saying like the whole culture thing though. You conform to the culture, the culture conforms to you. Well, the Army's a culture, right? There's standards. I don't come in expecting to be able to keep growing my hair out. I gotta shave every day, unfortunately. But I do, and it's part of the acceptance. So just like the kitchen culture is Poppy's trying to stay, where they speak in those terms, then you just conform to it. You know what I mean?
Okay, so what about all those sharp things? And so, well, we supposed to conform to things
I
like
thought
that
the
because
infantry
of
had a
the
culture. I was not aware that the cooks had a culture. Are you
Yeah,
kidding me?
for
I mean, I just saw that there's a movie coming out where they tried to find the best looking actor to do this movie on cooking. I'm like, dude, who's gonna go watch that?
Oh, really?
All of you are. No, what else? What do you think?
One thing I brought up, sir, in my leadership philosophy was that concept of thick skin, where if you're cursing at me, it's for a reason, time and place, right? So I'm not gonna take it personal, like, oh, he hates me. No, you messed up. You're lying to me right now. I need to bring this up because this is not acceptable in the organization. So be a professional, have thick skin. Don't take it personal, but hey, understand, the severity of what you're doing right now. So that was my kind of concept on why I didn't really care if he yelled at me, because it was severe that the chef was lying to the head chef, or Chef Ramsay.
What else?
I saw, like, people brought up that he was lying to.
Say again?
People brought up that the chef was lying to Ramsay because he obviously, I guess, didn't have respect for him to start with because of his attitude. But I think that's not really true because he lied to the boss as well, and the boss is also really nice and everything. So I don't think that's really a problem. And then I just thought Chef Ramsay was effective because if he never came up to the chef, I feel like the chef would have kept the lie because he lied to the boss, and the boss never found out until Ramsay found out. So.
And the chef was in a culture where he was used to lying to his boss. The boss was nice and talked to him all sweet and stuff, but how effective was it if his chef was lying to him on the regular?
And he looked pretty good at holding his guns. Like,
Yeah.
I was like, he's not lying. He didn't fry the potatoes.
He didn't fry the potatoes.
I can tell. He's telling the truth.
But after Chef Ramsay had finally addressed it, the way he did, I kind of doubt that the chef would try and lie in the same manner again.
I think it was effective too, because at the end, the chef was on board with the new plan for the restaurant, so ultimately, I believe Gordon Ramsay would.
So basically, you basically have to be belittled to be effective.
I don't think he was belittled though.
I think so.
He knew he was being lied to,
I think so.
and he confronted him head on about it.
You don't use that language with people.
They weren't even yelling.
Well,
Sir, it's too bad that we don't have two more videos of different kinds of people that maybe had some context to where they knew the person, and we could see if Gordon Ramsay may have approached it differently. You know, maybe if he had you cooking, that he would have went up and got the same results, but not, but didn't cut you
Why
off.
would you do it to one person and not the other? You should never do those things. You shouldn't. Why would I talk to you using profanity when I wouldn't talk to Kat like that?
Because you can't develop two people the same way.
I
Some
agree.
people just learn differently.
I agree that like cussing is unprofessional for the most part, but like let's just play the devil's advocate and say that there was some background context that guy, that's just how he is, like constantly cusses, thick-skinned, and like that's the only way that's going to get across him. I mean, that may not have been the case, but it's possible.
Yeah.
Sir, I actually, I responded to Cadet Maddox's, response on this, and pretty much what everybody's saying is, what I kind of felt was that the professionalism of using profanity, he pretty much lowered his view, his leadership.
Yeah.
You can raise your level of assertiveness or of aggression even, especially like, I mean, different units. Yes, the infantry unit is a lot more aggressive, a lot more assertive, and you have to, you know, maybe sometimes up that because it's a man's, you know, the majority of a man's culture.
I
so.
disagree. I'm infantry. If I had to walk around a unit on eggshells, if I screwed up, I was going to get yelled at and cursed at. I would not want to be in that organization.
Not cursing, sir. I completely disagree that that's professional at all. I was just letting you know that you can increase your level of assertiveness without taking that professionalism away as a leader.
You maintain
You
your
maintain,
professionalism.
yes.
Absolutely.
I believe though in that kitchen, there was a culture where mistakes were okay, but the chef wasn't owning up to it, and I think that's what was wrong about the situation.
But do you think that is but he threw a
Because at the end of those episodes, Chef Ramsay,
he did.
he brings in a professional chef to help you though.
What great
Now, that's what
leader
we
you
don't
know
see.
throws temper tantrums?
I agree.
No professional.
One word out with.
I don't think in any other professional work. Do you think Apple? Do you think freaking Steve Jobs is? You know what I mean? I don't. You do. You think Steve Jobs? Have you seen the movie? Is he a yeller? Or is he cussing it?
No, I've read some articles on Steve Jobs. He's fired people left and right. He was very.
He doesn't need people this way. He can hire someone else new.
I think the approach that Chef Ramsay should have taken is, I agree with everybody wants to work for Steve Jobs, but I think as a leader you need to be firm and fair, and he wasn't being firm or fair. And when you are firm and fair, that's when you both have respect towards each other. Because when you give fairness, then they would have respect towards you in that manner.
Okay.
But he wasn't being fair to that person because he wasn't analyzing the context.
Yeah.
Nor was he, as a leader, facing that chef, saying like, hey, we need to focus on a solution to push forward.
Yeah, sure. They're definitely not. You don't execute mission command in the freaking in the kitchen.
There's no trust.
There's no trust. There's like, hey, you know, I'm not going to bring you back under my and give you some mentorship and train you and then send you back out. You are. You know what I mean? You guys had something?
Well, let's look at the end state of it. Before that, there was a lying chef. The end state of the whole thing, lying chef, right? And obviously the restaurant was about to close down, so they brought in Chef Ramsay. Chef Ramsay does his thing, curses, gets after a little bit, and then now what? You expose the chef and you counseled the chef, and now the manager and chef had that little side counseling. We're able to develop each other. So you expose the lying chef, basically, end state. So was it effective? I think so. What? But you had a lying chef before. You yell at him. Now he's okay.
All right.
We understand he's lying.
Cadet Emperor.
Sir, I don't think it was effective the way he did it.
Okay.
Because I feel like he would have been effective just presenting the witness
Okay.
and supporting his, you know, the lie that he was saying instead of just like going after him and being very
In
unprofessional.
public.
In public.
Yeah,
I
in front
feel
of
like
everybody.
He could have just pulled him aside and said, hey, here's a witness. What are we, you know, the
Yeah.
consequences, and kind of counsel him at that point.
Do you think that the restaurant would have been on track and effective if he would have done that as well? How do you feel?
Yes.
Yeah, Dole. Oh, okay. Carter. Hold on, we got a Carter and a Dole.
Sir, I don't know if we're allowed to do this.
Oh.
Ask it first, but
Turn the camera off.
Metal.
I don't know if we're allowed to do this. No, Lieutenant, listen, don't ever start a conversation with your platoon or your commander in that. No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead. What?
I thought I noticed the gender of the respondents being kind of a polarizing aspect to
Okay.
how people were answering this question.
Okay.
And it seemed like they were pretty much
So
opposite.
so what you're saying is, I mean, if I'm going to put it in black and white, the males in this organization responded differently than the females responded to this organization.
Not all of them, but
Yeah, a majority.
in general it seemed like.
What do you guys think?
Based on
Probably because like,
what they're saying, yes.
because the boys get, I don't know, at least boys in my family get yelled at. Like,
Okay.
and my sister's like, oh please, sweetie, you gotta do this, this, and this. And my dad comes out from left field, boom, and he's like, dude, and I get yelled at, and I used to get.
So is that what we need to do for you here, Lauren?
You develop and you mentor people two different ways.
Well,
so
we've
it's
been
like-
trying to mentor you not like Gordon Ramsay. And I don't know if it's being effective or not.
So I think maybe some people learn better to get yelled at, like how Gordon Ramsay yells at people.
But I don't want you to take your, I mean, you should, but some of your experiences, you know, the Gordon Ramsay way and the, you know, that's not the way we do business in the Army. All right? I don't even know if they do business that way in the kitchen, but we definitely don't do that in the Army. All right? We had something over here. Yes, ma'am.
Sir, I guess the implications of, I know we talked about culture and where it starts with little things like accepting profanity and whatnot, and how that can kind of snowball, or what are they, the downhill?
Yes, snowball.
The snowball effect is what they call it. So I think as well, there's issues because profanity and aggression like that
Yeah.
can lead to other things.
Yeah.
Like different environments, different things being tolerated
Yeah.
and whatnot, and that's where we get a lot of these issues that the Army currently faces, like
Yeah.
sharpening.
I just think overall, male, female, I mean, you know, it's unprofessional. I mean, I think that's the underlining, right? I mean, and it also demonstrates that I am completely uneducated, potentially, right? And I can't find a usable, you know, word in order to elaborate to you or describe to you the emotion that I'm feeling right now effectively, right? So it's all about effective communication. Yeah.
Sir, I have a question. How
Is
would
it, I don't know if we should do this right now, or is it, you know,
no, it's
go ahead.
not a, all right. I mean, in your perspective, sir,
Yeah.
when you were talking to a infantry PL in comparison to like a finance PL,
Yeah.
you know, I think, would you be harder on the infantry PL or, you know, considering the job roles?
Absolutely. I'm absolutely harder on an infantry platoon leader than I would be on a finance officer.
Then doesn't that go against your leadership philosophies?
No?
Why would you treat either of the two branches differently though?
I wouldn't. But what's important? Well, I would be for certain things. But that doesn't mean that my leadership philosophy has changed. It's just what's important to me for that infantry platoon leader to be, you know, to understand or to do versus the finance platoon leader to understand or do. It doesn't mean that my leadership philosophy is any different. My leadership philosophy is all about, like we talked about, my brother, my sister, that kind of stuff. So hopefully that finance officer, when that finance officer is going in to do his or her job, is actually taking the extra time and the extra due diligence to do what they're doing because they understand the impact that they have is not on themselves but on, you know, everybody else. Did that answer your question?
Sure.
Or did I confuse you?
No, sir, it's pretty cut and dry.
Yeah.
I definitely think it was unprofessional. I want to clarify what I was saying earlier, that for him to do that. But also the success of the situation, I think, is being like unduly accredited to him responding to Gordon Ramsay. But really, Gordon Ramsay's not the leader at the end of the day. It was the other guy, right? So this situation was a little more complex than just cut and dry. Like he's responding to Gordon Ramsay. He has to work for Gordon Ramsay for the future. He's going to work for that other guy. So like his priorities might be Gordon Ramsay's able to just cuss him out and then walk away and pass him on to this other guy who's actually his boss.
I think with that said, though, sir, you gotta really pick your audience on who you're conveying to, who you're gonna be hard on, who you're not gonna be hard on, because other people respond differently. If you be a little harsher on the, like for example, the infantry PL, and rather than the finance PO because, you know, this is how you want them to be, sir.
I don't know. I don't think I'm gonna be.
I mean, it doesn't excuse you to be a total D-head, you know, or a D-bag, but I mean, you just gotta pick and choose who you teabag.
I think based on different instances or certain circumstances, whether, you know, we're in a firefight, right, and I need something to occur, or we're back in a division headquarters and we're in a finance office, yes, there's a different way on how we're gonna approach it, and communicate it, based on what's going on around you. But I still don't believe that Gordon Ramsay was right in how he effectively communicated to the cook in a freaking kitchen.
Lobanov, what you just described was discrimination. Like sincere, but straight out, you said depending on different people, they need to be treated differently, and that's discrimination, and that's not allowed. So that mindset, that's creating a culture, and that's what's toxic about it. That's why like we've cited issues with it.
Well, even that battalion commander at 114th, he said that, hey, he could take an ass chewing, Roger, sir, Roger, didn't care, but then he brought in the thumbs up, thumbs down thing. Is that discriminating because now his company commander at the time was being more passive about it, but it was effective for that battalion commander? So it's like, do you change?
But the way that you described it, it's how you're treating people, how you're if you're not going to treat anyone with the same respect and fairness, then
I don't think it's about respect. I think it's about there's many ways to skin a cat. So like if you can respond well to being yelled at and that, okay, oh shit, I gotta focus. I can't be lying to my head chef, and that's good. But if you know that thumbs up.
Discrimination, though, you're using that in a negative term. You know, discrimination against.
If you discriminate against everybody, are you really discriminating anyone?
Okay, all right, okay. Cadet Maddox, you have the last word, and we're gonna split up.
So the comment was made, it's unprofessional to ever get up in somebody's face and yell and scream at them, and that aggression, breeding aggression, leads to different things down the line, right? Basically, in a nutshell, is what you're saying. If we breed an army of people who cannot handle the stress of somebody yelling and screaming at them, then that's going to lead to things down the line where soldiers are going to lie down and suck their thumbs whenever they, you know, get into the extreme stressful situations of combat. That's why drill sergeants and basic training is all about inducing extremely stressful situations into, you know, the training. And sometimes you gotta get up in people's faces, especially when lives are on the line and your NCOs or your soldiers are making decisions that are gonna kill somebody.
Drop mic.
Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1. Who's that? Is that it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, you guys pick up, leave your stuff in here. Yeah, I already talked to the briefer, but thank you for.